Thursday, May 7th, 2026. I'm curious about the top 5 baseball players in history who had the best RBI seasons. So I wrote a book, Yearly Leaders of Every Batting Category. I go decade by decade between 1870 and 2025, looking at the top 5 RBI leaders. This video, 1930 through 1939. Yikes! What happened in 1930? Hack Wilson goes for 191 RBIs. Incredible. Ended up with 1,063 in his career. That same year, 1930, Lou Gehrig goes for 173, the second time over 170. Chuck Klein, 170. So 3 guys in 1930 had RBI seasons over 170. Al Simmons, 165. Jimmy Fox, 156. What a year for RBIs. 1931, Lou Gehrig says, hey, Hack, nice year last year with 191. You know what he does? He goes for 185. 1931 season. Babe Ruth, 162. Earl Averill, 143. Al Simmons, 128. Joe Cronin, 126. 1932, Jimmy Fox, 169. Lou Gehrig, 151. Al Simmons, 151. Don Hurt, 143. Babe Ruth, 137. 1933, Jimmy Fox again, 163. Lou Gehrig, 140. Chuck Klein, 120. Al Simmons, 119. Joe Cronin, 118. 1934, Lou Gehrig is hot. 166. Hal Trotsky, 142. Hank Greenberg, 139. Mel Ott, 135. Jimmy Fox, 130. 1935, Hank Greenberg, 168. Wally Berger, 130. Joe Medwick, 126. Ripper Collins, 122. Lou Gehrig, 120. 1936, Hal Trotsky, 162. Lou Gehrig, 152. Jimmy Fox, 143. Zeke Bonura, 138. Joe Medwick, 138. Then in 1937, listen to this one. Hank Greenberg, 184. So there are 3 guys in baseball history, 180 or more RBIs in a season. Hack Wilson holds the record, 191. Lou Gehrig, 185. And now Hank Greenberg goes for 184. Joe DiMaggio, first time hearing him, 167. Lou Gehrig, 158. Joe Medwick, 154. Bill Dickey, 133. Jimmy Fox, 1938, listen to this one. Jimmy Fox, 175. These are incredible numbers. Hank Greenberg, 147. Joe DiMaggio, 140. Rudy York, 126. Joe Medwick, 122. And then wrapping up the 1930 decade, 1939. Ted Williams, 145. Frank McCormick, 128. Joe DiMaggio, 126. Joe Medwick, 117. Bob Johnson, 114. So the decade of the 1930s is incredible for RBI production. Jimmy Fox 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Top 5, 1930s. Lou Gehrig, 8 times. Top 5, 1930 RBIs. And let me stress something you may not know. I didn't know this until I did some research. Lou Gehrig was the most prolific RBI producer in baseball history if you look deeper into his stats. Now, in 17 years, actually, we can say his baseball reference stats say 17 years. But his last year was 8 games, so it doesn't count. So now he's down to 16 years. His first year was 13 games, and his second year was 10. That's 23 games. So in the 3 years, 8 and 23 is 31 games. It's not enough, like a full season, right? 31 games in 3 years. So we can say that Lou Gehrig, in 14 and a half years, got over 1,900 RBIs. Well, he had 1 RBI in 1939, so scratch that out. He ended up with 1,995. So scratch that out. He's got 1994. If you scratch out 1939, 1 RBI. And then 1923 and 1924, he had 13 RBIs. Scratch that out. 194, 13, 1,982 RBIs in 14 and a half years. And listen to this stat. He had 3 seasons over 170 RBIs. He had another season over 160. And then if you want to count how many times he went over 150, he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons, 150 or more RBIs. One of those seasons, he had 185. Lou Gehrig, 14 and a half years, 1,982 RBIs. Give Lou Gehrig 20 years of production if he had played that long and been healthy. He would have had over 2,500 RBIs. The record, Aaron and Ruth are right up there, 1 and 2, over 2,200, right? Aaron got close to 2,300. But Lou Gehrig, give him 20 years. Give him 23 years. He has 2,500, maybe 2,800 RBIs. That's the pace he was on. He was that good. So the 1930s, Lou Gehrig dominates. You get Jimmy Fox a couple times, and he was pretty good too. He had a 163, a 169, and a 156. How about, and then also Jimmy Fox had a 175. Hank Greenberg got up there a couple times. He had a 184 and a 147 and a 168. Joe DiMaggio comes on the scene, gets 167. Joe Medwick, Al Simmons was up there a couple times. These guys, if you want to know who are the best RBI producers in baseball history, you got to look at Babe Ruth because he had 11 seasons, top 5. Lou Gehrig had 10 of them. Joe DiMaggio, 7. Al Simmons had 6, and so did Jimmy Fox. He had 6. Camp Hansen had 11, but he played in the old school era of the 1870s and 80s, a little different then. But after the turn of the century, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Jimmy Fox, Al Simmons, having really good years in the 1920s and 30s, and then later on you'll get Henry Aaron gets 8 top fives. Same with Ted Williams, 8 of them. Ty Cobb had 7. These guys are really, really good RBI producers. All right, that's the 1930s. My next video, I want to look at the 1940s. It's going to be a little different because you got World War II between 1941 and 45. Some of the really good RBI producers went into the service. Joe DiMaggio, Hank Greenberg, and Ted Williams. They served during World War II. So they're not in the top 5. So we'll see who produces during that decade. Okay? Talk to you later. I'm out.